Hello, welcome, beautiful souls, to another episode of Coming Home to You. I'm so excited. This is a special Mother's Day special bonus I'm going to drop because with the work that we do, who couldn't use a little extra love on Mother's Day and honoring the multiple roles that we play as mom and as women in the world. So, here on this show, it's about remembering who we are and exploring the journey of what it is to come back home to yourself amidst the noise and the rules and the roles and the expectations that society places on us and what we place on ourselves. So today I'm so honored to have a personal, beautiful friend of mine, and she's radiant. Her name is Jen Reimund with us today. And she's just wise, a mama, a leader, a woman who continues to honestly be herself and choosing herself regardless of what it looks like. So I'm so grateful that she is here. And on this episode, we're going to talk about devotion because I really think it's important to ground ourselves in the importance of what it is. It's not a destination, it's a devotion. Coming home to yourself, it's a practice. It's a daily, constant intention that you get to set for yourself. And it starts with you knowing that you matter and you're enough because you are worthy. And we're here especially holding space for each other and for one another. And that's the important thing, is to show up in sistership and just raise each other up. And Jen just brings such heart and depth and honesty to this conversation. I thought it would just be perfect to have her on as a mom on this special episode, and just as a friend and someone and a leader who really just has such. I've seen her bloom into the powerhouse that she is, just really stepping into authenticity. And so I admire that. And I am so grateful that we can sit together in this space. So before we get in the conversation, let's just settle in. Settle in where you are. Take off your distractions. Take a deep breath in. Take an intentional breath in as if Mother Earth herself can hear you. Just breathe it in. And when you release, just sigh out, because she is there to receive the heaviness, the expectations, the busyness of the day. She's there to receive it from you. Take one more deep breath in. Take in her love and her healing and her light and support. And then when you release it, just really let go and release and be in this moment in your body. Let that be a reminder to you, sisters, that the first thing you have control over is your breath. It's your ally. So use it. A little pro tip for you. All right. So I want to introduce Jen. Jen is a certified hypnotherapist, the brain whisperer herself, a holistic transformation coach passionate about empowering women to achieve their dreams and create a life of abundance and joy. My kind of girl. With a background in healthcare and expertise in subconscious reprogramming, which is so cool, Jen helps her clients break through limiting beliefs, releasing emotional baggage, and step into their full potential. She's the creator of a transformative programs like the Visionary You, and offers a variety of tools and techniques, including hypnotherapy, breathwork, and root cause coaching to guide her clients towards lasting change and create the life that truly reflects their inner greatness. So with that, thank you. Oh my God, please help me welcome Jen Reimund to the show today. Hi, girlfriend.
Hi. And first of all, thank you so much for the invite. I love how we continually support each other and collaborate. And the earrings, oh my gosh, those are on point. I love them. Oh,
Thank you,
awesome.
thank you.
Thank you so much for the intro. And you had a lot of really heartfelt words, and I really accept that and I feel that. And thank you so much.
All right. So let's get right to it. So the call to remember, right? We have a moment when we are called. So as a leader and a mother, how has your journey of remembering for you unfolded? And was there a moment specifically that you felt the call to come back home to yourself amidst all the roles that you were carrying?
Yeah. So Remembrance maybe means a little bit different to me versus somebody else. Because remembrance to me is really about getting back to your soul, like your soul self, your divine being, like your higher self. So we are all meant to be these magnificent beings that are, you know, confident in ourselves, loving ourselves, compassionate, like we enjoy joy. And so remembrance to me is really getting back to that level, because we get, for one, pre-programmed to stay small and stay in these boxes and to conform and keep our voices quiet. And for two, society is just, like it's kind of a man's world. Like we're very much like hustle and grind, and you know get the schooling, get the job, get, like, retire, and then that's when you can actually do things, is after you retire. So um for me, there was a big turning point on, because I was in corporate America. I was working in healthcare. So we were very much attuned to the low sleep, do your job. If you're a parent, like, job almost comes first. And so I was coming home to my kids completely exhausted. It's like I used up all my energy at work and I had nothing left for them. And so I was finding myself irritable and not really present with them. And, like, these are not really things I want to instill on. Like, I have two girls. I don't want to instill that on my girls. I want them to know that they can do anything. Like, they can do anything they can put their minds to. They can be leaders. They could be CEOs if they wanted to. They could uh, rule the world. So it's essentially, it started to create friction. Like, I started to notice the friction at first. And so I started to really question, like, is this what I want to do with my life? Is this what I actually do? I want to be the worker bee forever and have nothing left for my family and not ever see them and not be able to take my girls to lunch, like pull them out of school and take them to lunch or go to their concerts. So it caused me to really reevaluate some things. And so COVID, of course, like, that was a big catalyst for a lot of people. I started having, like, I was already kind of anxious. I was already having confidence issues. I was already I had a stutter, so I wasn't really talking to people much, because I was scared to be judged. And so when COVID hit, it kind of exacerbated things. It made it worse. And I started to have more anxiety. I started to have panic attacks at work. And then it's like, is this really worth it? Is it really worth it? Yes, like, I'm spending all this time at work away from my kids. And then now is the thing that this is big thing that we didn't know what it was coming into play, that we didn't know if we were going to be bringing that home to our families, and if we were going to survive the day. So it started to become more about survival, and I didn't feel safe at work. And so it kind of set off this gears of motion to look elsewhere, to look at other things that I could do.
Well, it seems like you really got to a place of like enough,
Yeah.
right? You're like, something has got to give. This is not working. And I also love that, it sounded like your children were also the catalyst in some way to really get you grounded on your values of what was important for your life, in that stage. Because I think we all have seasons in our life, right? We all go through a rhythm. And that's why it's important to not judge what society says, like you said, like the expectations, um, the pressure of being more masculine so that we could fit in, It's not, it makes us imbalance in our feminine wisdom and our softness. And then they wonder why we're so competitive and controlling and harsh. It's like, well, because then you think I'm too delicate like a flower, and you don't see me as a controller for a CEO or a president or, high leadership position. And so it does get a little confusing. And so how you weeding out the noise is, I think, the important part, right? And so navigating the layers of leadership and motherhood, how do you personally do that? How do you navigate the layers? And when the world seems to just ask so much of you, what does it mean to lead without losing yourself now that you had that awareness?
Yeah. So I try to teach by example with my girls. I want them to see a mom that's centered, that's confident in myself, confident in my abilities. And so when it comes to leadership in my business, I do it right in front of them. Like I let them see it so that they can see what's possible for them. And also so that they can see me working on myself as well. I do that in front of them so that they know, hey, it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to take some time for yourself. Some of my practices that I actually teach them is I teach them breath work, because heck, I actually went to the chiropractor today and we were talking about, the nervous system and how kids are so more worse off right now than some adults are. And they're coming in with all these symptoms because their nervous systems are just shot. So I want them to see the tools so that they can use them for themselves, so that they can be more well adjusted, so that they can grow up into adults that don't have to clean up all the crap that, like some of us had to clean up. So I really, again, like I teach by example. I want them to see me in it, even the hard days. I want them to see me in it, and also taking the time for myself so that they know that that's okay. Because again, like I don't want to instill like hustle and grind. I don't want to instill, uh, you know, sit down and shut up. Like they deserve to have their voices heard. They deserve to live a life with no boundaries.
Well, I just wanted to let that kind of land a little bit. Well, such beautiful wishes you have for your girls, first of all. So I acknowledge you for that, and I honor you for being a stand for them, and I'm the more that I'm putting myself out there and the more that I'm actually expressing myself and showing up in other rooms, I'm noticing that I'm being connected with a lot of cycle breakers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just beautiful. And it's not easy, right? Because it comes with a lot of criticism. It comes with a lot of uh, people saying, no, this is not the Jen that I'm comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
I grew up with, or that I know, because now you're speaking your truth, being authentic and bold and boundaries. Like, who is this girl? So how do you navigate that with the dynamic, of your husband? Because I think that to me, what came up when you said that was so important because modeling, being in it, right? So there are times that are going to come up. Like, how do you talk to your children after like a flare up with your husband and you express to them? Like, how does that look like for you as a leader and mother, really taking on the role of cycle breaking?
Yeah. And I do want to preface this by, like nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to get it right 100% of the time. So there are times where I can be irritable and I can blow up at them, or, take it out on my husband. So, and they see that, but I feel like it's really important to know for one, like nobody's perfect. Like you're gonna have slip ups. I've lived 41 years of my life in a certain program, to live a certain way. So it takes some time to really break things down, like to actually break the cycles and reprogram myself. So yeah, those things, they come up. And so when that does, you know, sometimes it just comes out without really thinking about it. And then you reflect. You take a moment, you're like, I shouldn't have said that, or like maybe that was a little harsh, or like you see their face and you're just like, oh man, I don't. So it's really important to come back and not like in the heat of the moment, because sometimes like then they're not available for it. They're not going to receive whatever you are talking to them about. So it's coming back to when everybody's calm, coming back to um like a later time, maybe in the day or the next day, and being like, look, like I understand how you feel, and I understand how I came off, and I really didn't mean for that to happen. um and making sure they understand, like, you are safe, like, you are valued, like I'm here for you. And I don't ever want to close it off or not talk about it to where they feel like they can't come to me if they have big emotions or big things that are going on at school. I never want to have them not feel safe to be comforted by me.
Yes, and I almost feel like those are the moments that are more important to come back and model what it looks like to be responsible and take ownership of your poop scoop. Like, yeah, it happens. We're all going to have heavy emotions. We're all going to be in a moment where something just doesn't land with us and we explode, or maybe we weren't being authentic with ourselves or not doing the self-care. So take us through the techniques that you actually use to help you calm down. Like what is those devotional, because we talk about it being a devotion, right? Coming home to yourself. So in those moments, right? Like you talked about making sure that you come and you talk when people are calm. So what does Jen do to help her come back to herself in those moments, like specific, that
Yeah.
you can give our audience listening, like one to three tips, hacks that you do that have really worked for you to come home to your truth
Yeah.
and your
So
power?
for one, and as you said in the beginning, your breath is something that you are in control of. And when we're very heated and in the moment, we kind of forget how to breathe. So we'll start to breathe in our upper chest, or we'll hold our breath, and that's essentially cutting off the oxygen to our brain. And then guess what? We can't process what's going on. So one really important thing is to just start to slow down your breath. Uh, when you're in a fighting response, which is fight or flight, right? It's a sympathetic response. So your nervous system is ready for war, like it's ready to run from the tiger, or whatever it needs to do, is ready to go. And so when you're in that response, you're not really in your body, like it's like digestion shuts off, your brain kind of shuts off a little bit. It's just like you're ready to react. And so it's
You're
really
being
coming
such a nurse right now. I love it. Sorry, go ahead.
back. so you want to come back into that parasympathetic state. And how you do that is by calming your nervous system. So the easiest way to do that is dropping down into your breath. So literally counting out your breath, taking a like 4 to 5 count inhale, 4 to 5 count exhale, and just dropping into your heart center. Because a lot of it, your heart is an electrical magnetic thing that it can actually be measured, the magnetism of your heart from up to 3 feet away by medical instruments. So dropping into your heart, that is your energy center. And as you're visualizing your heart and dropping into your heart and taking those slow inhales and then slow exhales, you're dropping back into your body. You're starting to bring the blood back into your brain, the oxygen into your brain. Your digestion will start to pick up again, like you go into rest and digest. This is even good for if you are trying to go to sleep and you're having trouble sleeping, is just the exhale, extending it a little bit longer. So you could take like a 3 count inhale and then like a 7 count exhale. And that's dropping you back into that parasympathetic state. Um, and then grounding yourself. Like you did kind of a grounding at the beginning, but we want to realize that we are not only physical beings, we're also emotional beings, we're spiritual beings, we're connected to Mother Earth, we're connected to Source. So dropping back into that state and just sending your grounding cord from your root chakra down into the core of the earth, and then sending your crown chakra up into Source and reconnecting yourself. A lot of the time when we're all out here and like not in our bodies and our heads spinning and all the things are like coming at us at once, it's because we're not grounded. So just dropping in to that connection again.
Yeah, I think what I heard too is like dropping into the present. No, I loved all those. So breathing is your ally. Slow, deep breaths, especially at night. The longer the out breath, the more benefit there is for and I kept hearing you say digestion, and what kept coming up for me was the spleen meridian, right? Because it's also there for metabolizing thought, emotion, feeling, food, alcohol, all the things. So, and breath is connected to everything. So I love how when you presenced it, you came from that nurse angle and gave people like actual physical things that they can start to pay attention to in their body. A lot of the times we are so disconnected because we're trying to do so many things that we're not in our body, that we're not really fully, we feel the thing and the discomfort and that little like pain that comes here and goes, but we just like, ah, I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it later. But it's your body's first, or we're actually one of the last ones, right? The first one I'm feeling is like when you feel the emotion come up, where do you feel it in your body? That's the first line of defense. Because the more you ignore it, it starts to manifest into some chronic pain or something else that we can have a whole nother conversation about. So, I mentioned earlier how I felt like, you're a cycle breaker and breaking generational patterns. And it's kind of like an empowerment moment for us right now. And so motherhood often brings up old stories. And you mentioned earlier how you started seeing your different, so like all these things, what was like a belief or a pattern that you felt important to break so that you can rewrite your own life moving forward? And how has that shaped the way that you lead today?
Yeah. So, and this also comes into kind of programming too, because we're programmed by our caretakers, who were programmed by, their caretakers. So that comes in on that generational aspect as well. You can even talk past lives. Like you carry a lot of karma, and it with the generations, like all of this embeds in your cells. And they've done studies that has actually proven that trauma and emotions and all of these things can hold in the cells for up to 14 generations. So yes, 14. So this is, you know, I don't want to be just doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. Like I saw how it was with my parents. I saw how it was with their parents. Like I came from a very I would say like authoritarian kind of household. A lot of shame, like you need to perform to get love. Um, we weren't really affectionate. We didn't really say I love you. Like these are things that I grew up with. So it kind of made me very hyper vigilant, for one, like hyper vigilant on everything that's going around on in my surroundings, which also consequently I became a people pleaser. I became a chameleon because I wanted to, again, to receive love, I had to perform in these ways. So I don't think like it was my strategy to survive, like growing up, like that. I don't think that it's a bad thing because I did survive. Like I survived. It was a winning strategy for me. Like it opened some doors. I had success with it. However, when I got to a certain ceiling with that, and I actually saw that, I can only get so big being a people pleaser. I can only get so big having to perform to like getting external validation. So as I'm realizing this, and that came with like the leadership programs and the self-development and all of those things, I had to really ask myself, like, what do I really want for my life? Do I want to stay in this box that I was programmed to stay in, or do I want to live a bigger life? Do I want to have the desire to actually spend time with my family and be there with my kids and actually go do fun things and vacations and, like be there and present? Because in my mind, where I was working constantly and performing, I wasn't going to get there. So it's essentially, and when it comes to awakening, when it comes to, you know, conscious awareness, it's like you're breaking the chains. It starts with you. Because when you break the chains, it's like the necklace with the pearls. Like when you break this chain, all the chains below you break. So my kids will break their chains. Their kids will break their chains. It starts with you.
Yes. And want that to sit and land for anybody who's like taking that in too, because it is so much of what you shared, I saw myself in, the people pleaser, the making sure that I didn't create waves or feeling guilty if I did decide to speak my truth because it didn't land or the person wasn't ready to hear or made me vilified me in some way, or at least that's the way I took it, right? Um, and it gets to the point where when you start to abandon yourself over and
Mm-hmm.
over again and forgetting the truth of who you are because you don't want to create waves, because you want to stay protected and safe, because you didn't feel safe to speak up your truth. And that's the early programming that I think you keep referring to here, as well as societal. And it gets to the place where you have abandoned yourself for so long and so many times that no wonder why you start to feel stuck. You start to feel like you don't know who you are. You're lost. You're like, I used to have dreams that I wanted to do this, or I used to love to go do that. And all of a sudden you're like not finding the joys and the pleasures, and we wonder why we start to get sick, because we are constantly in a low vibration and in a low state where and I don't think a lot, and I'm hoping that the listeners that are attracted to listening to us speak about this also understands a level of who we are as energetic beings, because it's important that we all start to really get comfortable with speaking what used to sound like woo woo.
Mm.
But there's so much research and science backing it up now, and proof, if you just leaned in and got curious about trying it yourself. A lot of people think, oh yeah, breathing, oh that's so weird, whatever. Meditation, I can never meditate. Well, there's so many different forms of meditation. People meditate when they're dancing, when they're creating music, when they're doing breath work, when dancing, singing, whatever it is. There are things like rollerblading. Like I could really feel like I'm in a hiking for other people. So there's things that um, we when you start to unpeel and the layers and start really just asking the questions. And I think, would you say you agree, Jen? Like when you did the leadership program, for me, the biggest lesson that I learned was to be neutral about things. Would you
Mhm.
say that that was like, well, how has that supported you in your journey coming home to yourself in those times, when it feels like everybody's pointing the finger at you?
Yeah. So what's really important about right and wrong is to realize that it's actually a social construct, that right for us could be completely wrong for a culture across the world, and vice versa. Like we can see them as doing something wrong, which like it's, if you take that piece and really look at, if they are seeing things in a completely different way, then who is really right? Can there even be a right and wrong? So when you come to things with neutrality and you look at things that have happened in your past, because typically when we're in this, like this spinning state or the sphere like state, where we're pulling things from our past that have happened and we're assigning a good or bad, right or wrong value to it. So if we look back at our past and we're seeing something as bad or wrong, and it comes up again, or something similar comes up to again, our brain is going to be like, oh, no, get it back off. Now, when you start to change the like rewire it in that way, that technically there is no right and wrong, there's no good or bad, there just is. It's neutral. You start to look at things a different way. And even to say, like, maybe you had some bad things happen in the past, like a bad decision maybe that was made. If you see a decision as bad, or it came out bad or whatever, can you change it in your mind to look at what actually good came out of it? Like, what were you successful in by that thing happening? Because a lot of the times we just look at the negative part of it. But if we see like I lost a job, but guess what? A better job opened up. I got a different job. Like, so when one door closes, sometimes that's the universe saying, hey, there's better things out here. So, yeah, if you look at things with neutrality, it's there, you start to see that it's not a bad thing, may just be a learning experience. A bad thing that in my mind is bad may be an opportunity for growth or for better things. And it starts to take that ickiness off of it.
I love that. What I heard there for me was it's for you, not being done to you, right? And I actually even like to go a step further and say it's through you. It's happening through you, right? It's not happening for you. I'd like to say that responsibility, if you're going to be like in a leadership position and be 100% responsible for how your life and the results and all the stuff, like life happens through you,
Mm.
through your lens, the perspective, like you were saying, how you judge and blame and criticize others, because there's probably a place where you're doing that for yourself too, that you're not really grounded in. And I think um, the common thread with the people I've interviewed so far have gone through leadership, have had people who have had coaching and mentorship. I feel I think you might agree, right? That that is really a powerhouse because there are things that are hidden that you don't know that you didn't know, or how it keeps showing up everywhere and everything. Because
Mhm.
what's that quote there that we like to say? How you do one thing?
Oh, how you do one thing is how you do everything. But
Yeah.
also, I just wanted to touch on because when we went through leadership together, like they did uncover your responsibility behind things. Like you're responsible for your own life, you're responsible for your emotions, your actions, and how the world is you perceive the world. And this also caused me to kind of go down more of a rabbit hole, but I just want to bring up the point is perception is projection. What's going on inside here, you're going to project that out into the world, and you will literally make things happen because of what's going on inside. You will make, you know, accidents happen. You will make things really show up in your face. Like, so that it's a mirror. So you can actually see yourself. Where's this going on inside of me that I am perceiving this going on outside of me?
And I think that goes back to what you said earlier on about the friction. You started feeling the friction.
Mm-hmm.
And if something is meant for you, it would be easy peasy, smoothie, paloozy. I don't know what other kind of terms you can say that have that meaning and feeling, but um and the things that we do that are out of alignment of our truth, when we're not being authentic, right? When we're not actually speaking our truth, because and I think it bears repeating. I feel like I said this in the one of the last interviews, was the importance, or maybe it wasn't this interview, it was just in a room I was with other women, and they were talking about keeping the peace sometimes, and that yeah, they're authentic, but they keep the peace sometimes. I was like, well, I think that if you can be authentic in a loving way, when you are a loving interruption because you see the light, not because you're coming from a judgment space or a critical like perspective lens of you have to be right, there's a space where that person can receive a message to evolve in their own
Mm-hmm.
right. And I think that's one of the things that the leadership program we were in gifted us, was the ability to have it be like a fresh breath, a fresh air, right? It was like, oh my God, this is so refreshing. People are really calling me out on my bullshit, right? And it's like, it hurts and it feels bad, but when you know it comes from a space of as feedback is a gift,
Yeah.
I think if we more showed up in our truth and more showed up in that space of leading with love first, we can all evolve to who we are meant to always be, and understanding. And I think that's why it's important to have this conversation, to remind everyone they're not alone. You're just like me, I'm just like you. We have the same fears, maybe not the same exact ones, but we have fears and we have doubt and we have this story that feels I have to fulfill in order to fit in. But the truth is, no, you get to stand out. You get to shine in your truth. Stop. And I think you said that you were doing this in your life early, Jen, is when you were like conforming and dimming your light so that other people can be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And that cost you. That cost you your identity. That cost you your dignity and your pride and your self-respect and your self-love. Um, so as we wrap this up, the important thing to remember, right, is there are women out there. There are even men and little and girls even now. Like I think right before the call started, you were sharing with me how children are so dysregulated in their nervous system right now with so much stress and so much expectations and social media and like, talk to us, ground us a little bit about like how that looks like in your house with your daughters before we give the message to these women. Like maybe wrap it up with answering the question. What does, um, is there a message or a reminder or anything that you want to give the woman who's still searching, still in this, remembering themselves on this journey? What would you want them to know?
I mean, it all comes down to taking care of yourself so that you're able to take care of others. Because everybody's heard that you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So when I am taken care of, when I am back home, when I am actually in my body and present and regulated. That's my best self. And I can give my best self to my girls. So it's really important. Like, hello, recovering people pleaser. Everybody else was before me, right? So that was really important for me to be like, it's okay to actually take care of yourself. Like, it's okay to spend the time. I don't have to feel guilty for that, because in a sense, I am still doing that for the better for others. Like, I am bettering myself for others so that they can receive the best me.
Hmm. I want everybody to hear that again. So, what I heard you say was self-care is not a selfish thing.
Mhm.
You get to not be feeling guilty or be made feel guilty to do it. Because as a mother, sometimes we think people are going to be like, "Oh, you're a lazy mom. You do what? What? You're like you're sleeping in?" Well, if your body needs to sleep in, if your body is like listening to yourself and what you need, and also grounding and knowing that you get to choose yourself first, because you can't really give generously to others from an empty cup, right? You're like, here are my scraps. I have nothing, but I'm going to give you this bowl. And then I was like, well, it's empty, and people can feel it energetically. People can
Mhm.
feel when you're doing it because you're tired and you're frustrated, or maybe you're like hooing and huffing in the background. You don't realize you're like puffing and huffing over here, and maybe you made a comment later, or maybe you said, "Oh, you don't realize how tired I was yesterday. I didn't want to do that, and I did it anyway for you." And it's like, well, now you're gonna make me feel guilty that I asked you to do it. You could have just said no and been honest with me. It would have been saving us all this hardship. So I went on a rant there. Can you tell? I got really emotional about it because it is a daily,
It
daily, daily
is.
thing. And my friend, it is okay. You are not broken. You never were broken. And that's why it was so important for me to put it on the background, because it feels that way.
Mhm.
But it feels that way because you have chosen to abandon yourself over and over again. You've chosen to put yourself last. But it's time. If you really want to take control of your life, if you really want to show up for the people that you love or in the world the way that you feel you can, it starts with you taking the time for yourself, remembering to breathe, remembering to ground yourself, but like coming back and reconnecting to the present moment. The present moment is all we have. Dropping into your heart and getting out of your head. Your head can get really judgmental and critical and busy, crazy, and loud. Like, just put on some music, whatever it takes. Just go into nature, listen to ocean waves, whatever it takes. Maybe even hum, because your voice is your most powerful instrument for healing you. Just put your hands in your heart and just take that breath and ground yourself. These are all the beautiful tips that have come for today. Like, when you're feeling that friction, you're not aligned with your truth. Um, do healing rituals every day. Make it a habit to do a 5 to 15 to 20 minutes, whatever feels aligned for you to do. Just do it. Take care of yourself because you matter and you're worth it. So I want to say, I am so grateful for you, Jen. You really gave us a lot of really beautiful. I mean, I even went off some of the questions because you just provided such deep depth in the conversation, which I knew you would. So I was so grateful to that. But I just want to thank you for sharing your journey, sharing your tips with us, to sharing what it looked like to be the remembrance of your devotion, and that you choose every day for yourself as a mother, as a leader, as a woman. And if this conversation touched your heart, if something that was shared here today really moved you, and you know another fellow sister, mom, even anybody who can resonate with this, please share it. Please invite them to join us And if they're ready to remember themselves, just know that they're not alone, that we're all here, ready to soften ourselves, ready to really, really get beneath who we are. So if you're ready to go deeper, I want to find a way to connect with you guys, right? So Jen also has a special gift that we're going to put on our descriptions where you can connect with her if you want to go deeper with her. Maybe you want to say something about what you want to offer, Jen, for them.
So it's actually a just like a little 12-minute recording, and it's using 9D breath work, which um, Margarita has done, but it's essentially doing a little bit of active breathing to actually drop you back into your body and also put you in a trance-like state. I'm coaching you through it. We're also giving you some hypnotic affirmations, some binaural beats. We're opening up the different layers of your subconscious mind, so you can actually take in the layers of it and the words that I'm going to be giving you to actually really empower you to lift your energy, your spirit, so you come out feeling euphoric in just 12 minutes.
I want to say if you've never experienced 9D breath work or hypnotic breath work, I highly recommend it. If you've tried breath work before and it doesn't work, I know I've been in a room with myself and other women who have really said, for me, my experience was very connected to myself. The way that you led it was such full with compassion, tenderness, softness, and wisdom. And the sound that happens as well was very hypnotic. And I really did feel instant release and movement. Just the first experience that I had. And I remember it was when I did my first podcast, when I first launched for the holiday, you did like a 20, 30 minute thing, and I was just bawling. And I know I released and healed a lot in that moment. So I highly recommend you guys please share and take advantage of that free gift that she has. And if you want to go deeper with me, or if you want to just talk to someone who's going to be here and listen and just be with you. Maybe you need a bucket to vomit in and be seen and heard. I am here for you. There'll be a link below that you can book a 30, 45-minute call with me just to let you know you're not alone. Because I see you, my friend. You're a beautiful soul and you matter. And it's time that we all rise together in oneness, in sistership. Until next time, please remember to be kind to yourself and others. Lead from love, spread joy. I'll see you on the next episode.